Final whistle just gone at the Allianz Stadium. Twickenham, handsome win for England. I said in the pre-game that I wanted this to be like a real good contest that Wales could walk away at the end of and have their heads held high, and I can't really say that was the case. We'll go through it in detail. As always, we'll kick off the detailed discussion at about the 4-minute mark. If you're watching on the replay, then feel free to fast forward to 4 minutes. If you're watching now live, go and get yourself a beer or a cup of tea or whatever. We'll watch the players walking off the pitch like I am at the moment. Yeah, a lot of players there I don't think have fully exerted themselves today. Tanks were not required to be empty. There we go. Okay, as always, though, get in the comments. Let me know where you are and what you're drinking. I'm still in Bulgaria, if you were here with me earlier, and I'm still drinking Princeton. Favourite local beer, named after the mountain. There it is. It's quite fizzy as well, so I burp every now and again. There we go. Yeah, England players looking delighted, obviously. Wales players looking a little bit. Look, yeah, really feel for the players. Everything about Welsh rugby, to be honest, at the moment. While we're waiting for the 4 minutes to come up, a couple of minutes still to go. We had a lovely quiz last night. We called it the Slightly Tubby Six Nations Quiz. 4 of us, Six Nations trivia, and it was a lot of fun. And we recorded it, obviously, so it's in the feed. If you want to go and check that out, maybe that'd be a nice thing to do on a Saturday evening. Go and check out some trivia. It was a lot of fun. We had a picture round. Six Nations Greatest Tries was another round. Winners and losers. It was really good. Excuse me. We've got some comments in already. Yeah, I feel your disappointment. That was disappointing. Yeah, I'm very analytical with this kind of stuff, and I don't think Wales performed anywhere near their potential today, which was what I was hoping for. If Wales had performed towards their potential, it would have been a good game. I think England would have won, but it would have been a good game, and it just wasn't today, unfortunately, because it wasn't a contest. It was over after about 20 minutes in many respects. So yeah, I agree with that comment, and yeah, I'm sad about it as well. England did some good things, but I don't think they actually performed near their potential either, because they didn't need to. And sometimes it's hard to perform to as high as you can when you know that the game's going to be won, whatever. So quite tricky scenario, and it's not good for the game. It's not good for anything really to have games like this. You want them to be competitive. You want them to be compelling. And to be honest, only 1 out of the 3 games this weekend has really satisfied me in that respect. And that was Scotland Italy earlier today, which, although it was horrible conditions and a horrible game in lots of ways, because limited in terms of the wetness, at least it was compelling. At least it went all the way to the final minute, and could have gone either way. So that was great. But yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame. Hopefully, we'll get more competitive games as the tournament continues. Yes, Ellie, I agree. And Mr. Badger said the same thing as well. Yeah, poor discipline at the start. Really, it was a struggle all the way from the start, from poor discipline and being overpowered as well. And it was a long day. Okay, let's get into the chat. Pre-game, the big news happened earlier in the week, and that was Malifeo with Boso, I think, slight hamstring pull. So he was out. Tom Roebuck was in. England had been nursing him back to health over recent weeks, and I don't think he was. Yeah, so I don't think they were going to pick him this week until he became available later in the week, essentially. But he came in. Obviously, he's been playing great for England and did brilliant in Wales last year as well. So, Feo Boso is obviously amazing, but Roebuck's really good as well. So that was no concern to me whatsoever. I had my man, the Hughes, who was in the stadium. He's informed me that it was hammering down basically right up until kickoff, and then stopped. So actually, the conditions were pretty good, I think. Certainly, you didn't see lots of drop balls or all of that kind of stuff. So the conditions seem to be all right, certainly better than in Rome earlier. It's a nice little touch with Wavell Wakefield's three grandkids being part of the ball boys today as well. I love little touches like that. Rugby does stuff like that really well. Wavell Wakefield obviously was one of the sort of famous player from yesteryear. Okay, into the game itself, and it was both coaches had talked about it, both teams had talked about it. They said there was going to be a lot of kicking in this game, and the kick battle did rage throughout, to be honest. And England, along with almost everything else, dominated that. Ford just taking yards off, he was able to catch and run forward and then kick long. I've got to say, Lewis Rees-Zammit's kicking was pretty good overall as well. He kicked really long, which helped Wales, but England just seemed to win every kicking battle. And it was from one of those kicking battles really, really early on that Ford's kick got tapped in flight, which meant everybody was on side. Sam Underhill charged down Lewis Rees-Zammit's kick, and England got on the board very early with a penalty from George Ford straight after that. Wales, though, did win an aerial battle with Stewart versus me after 4 minutes. Thomas Williams with a really good box kick. Got to say, it's tough, obviously, being a scrum half in a team that's going backwards as much as that. But Thomas Williams, as well as he could, stood up today, I thought, and he had some nice touches. Me got up to challenge Stewart. Stewart knocked it on. It led to a penalty. That went to nowhere. But, it went to nowhere because Wales was shooting himself in the foot. It was David Jenkins who got in front of the catcher. He lifted and then was basically offside in the maul. That was a decent entry for Wales after 4 minutes. They could have got some entry into the game there. Well, I'm not saying they were going to win, but they didn't get anything early doors, nothing at all. Griffin, as a result of that, Griffin got penalised for escorting under a kick. That went to the corner. The forwards drove, penalty advantage under the sticks, tap and go. And the England forwards just looked powerful. They just looked like they had the wood on their opposite numbers. Loads of space. All came to Ford, cross kick to Arundel, and there was, a catch. Try 10-0 after 8 minutes, and it was just like immediately you felt, oh god, this could get really, really ugly. I was a little bit concerned about Henry Arundel's socks. Why is he not wearing the team socks? I think team players should wear all the kit. And I don't know if they would just have white over socks that were pulled up a little bit, but Sam Underhill was the same as well. What is it? Wear the kit, lads. After that, so yeah, 10-0 after 8 minutes, and yeah, England just looked dominant in every facet of the game. They won a turnover from a kick chase. There was a big chance left, but Ollie Chesham carried instead of. I think it would have been a big pass for him or somebody else to get it out to Arundel, but it was definitely a chance that. And this is going to be a theme, right? So I was saying about how England didn't really they played well, but they weren't right at the top of their own performance levels. And I think England left a lot of points out there today. This was one. This was a big chance from a turnover. And there were lots in the second half in particular, where they really, I want to see them be really, really clinical. And I want to say at least 5, maybe 6 times, they really should have scored and didn't. So, yeah, I'm happy with the win for England, but not that happy in the performance, really, genuinely. George Ford was trying a load of his spiral bombs, as he often does, and he didn't actually clip them all that well and you can tell when the person's under it and the ball's coming down, when it comes down, it accelerates and moves away in the last 5 meters or something like that. So a couple of them, you see the catcher under the ball and just caught it where they were stood. But Louis Rees-Zammit actually caught one of the ones that moved, which was amazing. That's a really rare and special skill, and he had to end up sort of diving forward to take it. It was an unbelievable take. I actually thought Lewis Rees-Zammit actually had a really good game for Wales today as well. I thought he stood up, he caught these aerial balls, mostly kicked well, would look dangerous on attack as well. I thought he had a decent game. But England, as I said, all this dominance, all this territory, all this carrying, all led to stuff. And it was repeated penalties by the Welsh. And a lot of them were actually with Daft Jenkins did quite a few. But it was eventually Smith that got the yellow card for repeated infringements. England kicked to the corner, penalty line out drive. Darry Lake pulled down the maul. Jamie George getting close to a try. Another yellow card for a potential try scoring opportunity. It wasn't a penalty try though, even though Jamie George was sort of asking why, because there were Welsh players right there. And it was quite an interesting conversation because you heard him say, like, after they'd seen the replays on the screen, you heard the referee say to Jamie George, "Look, those players," and he went, "Oh yeah, I can see those. Obviously, I had my nose driving along the ground." So yeah, England were just all over it now, and Wales down to 13 players. Super tough, so tough for them. England then dominated the scrum as well, got a penalty advantage, and this was the excuse me, I said the kick pass earlier, but it wasn't. It was Ford flashed the ball across the front to get Arundel in for his first try. The kick pass was the second try for 15-0, and there was just acres and acres of space. Obviously, England playing against 13 people. Wales had conceded 9 penalties in the opening 20 minutes. That's as many as you want to concede in a whole match, typically, to be competitive. So that's brutal. 9 penalties, 2 yellow cards, 15-0 down. The game was done. The game was done at that point. And yeah, I mean, I didn't lose interest, but you don't feel as emotionally involved in the game because you just know that it's not going to come back. There's no way Wales are coming back into that. Okay, let's look at some of these comments that we've got coming in, and we've got a lot coming in, guys. I think there's a lot of people feel sort of sad about what's happened today. Yeah, absolutely. Porter, let's get this one up there. Thanks for coming to the quiz last night, mate. Really appreciated your interaction there. Sad day. We need strong Wales. Will it get better for them? Is it because rugby is losing popularity to soccer? I don't think it's that last bit. I think the rugby is football and soccer has always been popular in Wales. I just think it's the mismanagement of the regions. I think it's just a group of players that aren't quite as good as the sort of golden generation from years gone by. It's tough times. Okay, what else have we got to hit here? Yeah, similar to what somebody else said earlier, never really threw a punch, which is incredibly disappointing. We all knew what the result was going to be, but that was a hard watch. Yeah, it was a hard watch. There was lots of it I didn't particularly enjoy as well. It's not the way it should be, really, is it? Yeah, here we go. So this is kind of more detailed to what I was saying a little bit earlier. Wales's decline is a combination of lack of finances and mismanagement by the WRU closing the National Academy around 10 years ago, and passing that responsibility to regions is coming home to roost. Yeah. Yeah, a few more here as well. Yeah, and this echoes the point I was making as well. Neutral fans who like rugby but not diehards will eventually lose interest if the game is over by half time. Yeah, I think it was over well before half time, to be honest. And yeah, I agree. Sport needs to be competitive. It needs to have jeopardy, and there was very little jeopardy in that game today. Very, very sadly. Tommy Freeman at 13. 22 minutes. England creates some space down the right-hand side, and he crowbarred a pass into touch behind Roebuck. I thought Freeman today was a mixed bag. He had moments, well, many moments where I thought, that's it, that's great. His running lines, when he carries the ball as a 13, I think he does it really well. He's still got some way to go in terms of linking up with the players outside him. He just needs more time in the shirt, because I know he's got the talent. He used to play fly half for most of his junior career, so it will come for him. But those are the things, right, that I was saying. If this was a tougher game, England might have needed to take those opportunities, and there was a few that struggled with. Shortly after that, though, Tommy Freeman did the bit that I said he was good at when he ran straight through Dan Edwards. I mean, to be fair, it wasn't much of an attempt of a tackle. It was, a bit of a turnstile job from Dan Edwards. Ellis Genge was held up, but England's speed of ball was absolutely rapid. And Freddie Stewart, who his attacking game is coming on leaps and bounds. And it was a great pass by him out to Ben Earl. Meant Earl could just carry on running onto the ball, didn't have to break his stride. He was over in the corner for 22-0. There was so Thomas Williams, and I love him because he's a classic scrum half, cheeky, competitive, all that kind of stuff. And when Ellis Genge was on his knees offside round the back of a ruck, Williams obviously passed the ball into him to get the penalty. Absolutely what he should have done. I was just a little bit surprised he didn't pass it into his face or something like that out of frustration. I'm sure the referee wouldn't have minded. But this brings up a point, actually, because Genge got taken off at half-time and he got held up over the line, as I've just mentioned. He gave that penalty away because he couldn't get out of the way in time. He gave another penalty away for pushing his head pushing, I think the referee said, into Alex Mann. Alex Mann wound him up to do that. Genge's got, in recent years, I'm talking the last 2 or 3 years, he's got a hold of his emotions, I think, in games far more than he did as a younger man. But it was a little bit of a return to bad times for me today. He's got to be able to control that, because those little things, those little penalties in games that are much tougher will be really, really critical. So I wonder what the reason was for taking him off at half-time. Obviously, fatigue across this tournament is going to be massive. So taking him off in a game where England was already winning comfortably makes sense. But then Borthwick didn't take anybody else off. So I wonder if it was a sort your discipline out. We don't need that on the pitch. I wonder if it was that. I don't think we'll know. I mean, unless they talk about it in the press conference. But it seemed to me, if I was coach, I would have been hooking him for those little bits of indiscipline. Like, you don't need it. Big Red, though, Ollie Chesham, I thought was having a fantastic game. I mentioned England being dominant in all areas. Chesham got up a load of times in lineouts to steal lineouts, and he hit a great line clean through the middle, and he was looking for the offload. And this is a thing where I want England to be looking for those offloads when you get in behind. Unfortunately for him, Thomas Williams came in and slapped his wrists just as he was trying to offload it. Great tackle by Thomas. Looking for the offload. It was unfortunate, I think, in that regard. But Chesham hit some great lines all day, and I thought he had a really strong game. In fact, George Ford got player of the match, but I think I'd have given it to Chesham. Let me know in the comments, who do you think player of the match was? Ford obviously played very well, and I'm not saying that that's not the case, but I thought Chesham was outstanding. And then, I mean, we're talking about, I think Dan Biggar got asked at half-time, how much are Wales contributing to their own downfall? And he said a hell of a lot. It's true. It's absolutely true. Wales got a free kick at a scrum after 36 minutes. Ben Thomas threw it on the floor behind Louis Rees-Zammit. Fraser Dingwall picked it up, passed it to Aaron Orr, ran in untouched for his hat-trick try and 29-0. And, I mean, if that's not, slitting your own throat, I'm not sure what is. England were worthy of those 29 points, but Wales definitely helped them on their way to it, for sure. And then it even backed up even more just before half-time. Wales eventually got an entry into England's 22, got a penalty, and Dowie Lake went for the tap and go and forgot to tap it. It's just, it was I feel for the players, because obviously, like, nobody wants to turn up and play like that. Dowie Lake didn't want to accidentally miss the tap, but these things happen, and it was just a lot of things happened, especially in that first 40 minutes. Yeah, it was difficult. It was really difficult. Haven't got many notes for the second half, because it's not like I lost interest, not at all. But when there's no jeopardy, it feels like there's no story to tell. And I'm here to tell you the story of the game and talk about the details. But the story of the game's already happened. England smashed the first half with Wales's help. And that was the game done, really. Dingwall did put Roebuck over, but this is going back again to England not being efficient enough in that red zone when they had chances. Roebuck came through initially, and he should have thrown it over the top to Arundel. I'm not sure whether he was like, I haven't scored one yet. He scored 3. I'm going to try and get over the line myself. Maybe there's a little bit of that. But anyway, Roebuck did come back round the far side, and Dingwall put him over for 36-0. Wales did get some possession and territory. They started winning collisions as well. And this happened a bit with Ireland against France. You wonder how much is it when you're 36-0 up, your intensity, it's so difficult to maintain that intensity. Doesn't matter who you are, how professional you are. Things are, it's levels drops. And if one person's level drops a tiny bit, the other team get an advantage, and then it's harder to come back into it. So I'm not sure whether it was that or whether Wales just eventually got like, we've had enough here. Let's start doing some stuff. But they did win some collisions, got some penalties, enough to get the referee to warn Jamie George about repeated infringements. Maritoji came on at 51 minutes and was the recipient of a yellow card within a minute. It was amazing. He made one tackle, then got in a ruck. I think he knocked it on with his hands in the ruck when that ruck was already in place, basically. Definitely a penalty, and the yellow card for repeated infringements was absolutely fair as well. Felt for Mara, he's a competitor. He's just trying to do his best there, but yeah, a bit more discipline would have been nice. Wales, again, though, they backed this up. They sort of had some good pressure here against England, and there was some good, strong driving play by the forwards. And it looked similar to the way England drove the ball up against Wales early in the game. They were making yards. They looked dominant, and eventually Thomas Williams lobbed a pass out to Dan Edwards, who did the cross kick for Adams for the try. And it was very, very, it was almost a carbon copy of that second Arundel try. George Ford to him, Dan Edwards to Adams. They looked almost identical. I was really happy that Wales got on the board. It's just a shame that it was far too little, far too late. Lewis Rees-Zammit made a fantastic break from within his own half. And again, I wonder if England's tackling wasn't quite up to where it would have been if this game was even remotely close. And there was a little bit of me wanting the field to just open up and let's see a worldie from Rees-Zammit. But England did manage to close it down and got the ball away. Just a little reflection on the scrum I had at this point, though. It was a mess, wasn't it? The scrum was a mess all day. Both sides were up and down. There was lots of pre-engaged stuff. When you got club mates playing against each other, they definitely don't want to be on the losing side of that. So they're going to try and all the little tricks. Yeah, the scrum was a bit of a mess, which was a shame because I think it could have been a good contest in there. England were, I wouldn't say they were particularly dominant, but they probably did just have the edge in the scrum. Okay, let's look at some more of these comments, guys. What are people saying? Yeah, we need a strong Wales in the Six Nations. Absolutely. Italy have a free hit against us next week. They might push us close. Yeah, lots of other interesting thoughts and stuff there. Keep them coming in. Let me know where you are and what you're drinking. I'm drinking this lovely Bulgarian lager, the Purinsko. Okay, into the last quarter of the game. And okay, so here's one thing. There was a little bit that happened that I was really chuffed about. And the example I'm going to use is Thomas Ramos of France. Some of the creativity of his passes, when he puts people away or gets people into space where a regular rugby pass will not do the job. Whether there's somebody in the way or whatever, and a regular rugby pass won't work. Freddie Stewart did one of those to Ollie Chesterman, put him away at the left. He got there, and I think there was somebody in the way, and he just lobbed it over the top, a little basketball pass. That's what I want to see more of from England. When they're getting into these spaces and they are punishing teams, they need to be more creative with what they're doing. And that was a good example of it, a really good example of it. It didn't come to anything, unfortunately, because they then went on to crowbar, like, I think at least 4 potential try-scoring opportunities in the next move. But that little moment, I think that's where England need to get to if they're going to be world-class, because defences are too good nowadays. So you need to have that extra little bit of creativity. and it was Freddie Stewart that did it. And that goes on about what I was saying about him earlier, about his attacking game really coming on, for him to be the one. You know, if Fraser Dingwall would have done it, I'd have gone, yeah, it was Fraser Dingwall. He's absolutely amazing at that kind of thing, about putting other people in space. It's not Freddie Stewart's super strength, but he's worked on it. And yeah, that was brilliant. Henry Pollock was on after a Ben Thomas yellow card. Henry Pollock was on for Tom Roebuck. Pollock, the back rower, for Roebuck, the winger. And the commentators seem to really love this. I don't think it's that much of a big deal, to be honest. Like, some of these players now, they can just play everywhere. It doesn't really matter. Ben Earls played in the centre loads of times before, and that's what happened. Freeman went out to the wing, Earl into the centre, Pollock into the back row. And Pollock was over for a try, or it looked like a try, almost immediately. And he's going to blame himself for this, and rightly so, because he caught the ball and he could have scored. He didn't see the tackle coming, and he was still too high in the own goal area when Plumtree came in and whacked him round the chin and drove him out of the pitch before he could ground it. But they came back, correctly saw that it was a high tackle, and therefore a penalty try and another yellow card. Wales' fourth yellow card, and I think that was joint record now. That's the most they've ever had in Test match. And yeah, I wonder what Pollock will think about that. I don't think he was celebrating. I don't think he was being cocksure or anything like that. I think these things can happen. He didn't know the bloke was there, and he just got hit a little bit when he wasn't expecting it. Anyway, that was 43-7. And another one. Here's another one, right? So I've been, and particularly earlier in his career, before he left to go over to France, Henry Arundel would never ever pass on a 2-on-1. I don't think he even recognised 2-on-1s most of the time, and I think it's because he's been so quick as a youngster that whenever he caught the ball, he would just run and score, and it didn't matter whether he had support or anything else. And he was still doing this at England 20s. Like, I watched him when he was playing at England under 20s, and he was still the same then. Now he's at international level. He needs to recognise when he can put other people into space, and he did it twice in the closing parts of this game. It didn't actually lead to anything in these instances, but for me, it was that little next bit that's going to push England on, and Arundel in particular, to be a better player. And he put Pollock in space at one point after carrying I think it was a kick return. He carried it back, and I thought, he's just going to run this up, do his best, and then we'll have a ruck and see what happens. But he recognised there was a bit of space for Pollock and put him away, which was mega. And this was the one that led to a galloping Bevan Rod up the pitch into the 22, and Tommy Freeman scoring. But the TMO brought it back for a neck roll. Like, I'm not sure it's a neck roll. I think Cowan Dickey got driven off the ball by one of the Welsh players. I think it was Mason Grady, and his natural place for his arm was here, happened to be close to his head. I don't think it was a neck roll. And this is, I'm not concerned about this try, obviously, but it's just, we don't want TMOs inspecting every single ruck to find any infringement they can find, because there are going to be infringements in almost every ruck. So for me, it was a nothing. It was a nothing. It wasn't necessary, which was a shame as well, because it was a cracking try. There was a lot of good play that led up to it, but less TMO for me. I'm going to bang that drum for a long time. I thought we saw less TMO in France, Ireland, and the game flowed and was much better for it. Tom Curry continued his tucked arm tackling technique in the 76th minute and whacked Harry Deeves when he didn't even have the ball. He was off for his yellow card, which is also, he's either limps off injured or gets yellow carded, Tom Curry. I'm a huge fan, but he is going to properly land himself in trouble if he keeps tackling like that. And I worry for him. I worry for England, because it could really cost England. And yeah, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see it for him or England. But it was, he's a phenomenal player, and he's so physical. He just needs to be more legal sometimes with his tackling, because it's borderline. Yeah, that was a cheeky one, and it was deserved yellow card. Tommy Freeman, though, did eventually get over for his try, and he absolutely deserved it. I mentioned a few little things that he didn't do so well, but he was all over the place, I thought, in this game. He carried the ball really hard. defended really well as well, and he did an amazing step to get over in the corner. It actually looked quite improbable that he would score when he got the ball off the driving line out of the short side. 48-7. Player of the match, George Ford. You know, you can't argue with that, really. I would have picked Chesham, but Ford was exceptional as well. He kicked the ball, controlled the game amazingly well, and his passing range, as always, was exceptional, putting people in space. I've already mentioned the Welsh players that I thought deserve credit. Thomas Williams, Lewis Rees-Zammit. Is there anybody else? I thought Duff Jenkins just worked his socks off all day as well. Like, you've got to admire the guy. Like, in a pack that's going backwards and struggling, he's just competing for everything all the time. So there's a lot of respect for that, even though he gave a lot of penalties away as well. You know, he's a competitor. So yeah, I definitely respect that. Okay, we are going to have a proper full-on match report. I'm speaking with Taff, who was with me for the quiz last night. Speaking to him tomorrow morning, so we'll have the sort of match report ready for you late morning, maybe midday, something like that. And yeah, we'll go into all the details. We'll talk a bit more about the general stuff, the sort of big themes, rather than the detail that this pod is. Looking forward to that. He always comes up with something interesting that I haven't seen, and that's why I love doing these pods, because I'm learning every single one, which is great. Okay, let's look in the comments. Have we got any more here that good? Yes, Ellie, I'm going to bring this one up because I completely agree. For their brains as much as their rugby skills, their vision is supernatural at times. Okay, and that's kind of what I was talking about with the Thomas Ramos example earlier. They see things, their sort of awareness, they see the game a little bit quicker than a lot of people. And it's going to take time for England to sort of get into that. But I think they do need to really push that part of their game if they're going to get to sort of world-class potential World Cup winning standard. They're really good at the moment, but there's more levels for them to go to. Yes, Mr. Badgers. I'm saying Mr. I'm assuming Mr. Should never assume, really. Yes, Badgers. Thought Deeds looked good for Wales off the bench. Yeah, he was really competitive, wasn't he? He got stuck in. He made a difference. You noticed him, didn't you? There was lots of Welsh forwards that you didn't really notice. You'd certainly noticed him. So so good for him on that. Okay, so the Wales report will be with you tomorrow. Scotland won tomorrow night. We're doing another ref review as well. That will be with you Monday, where we're going to look at some of the refereeing decisions from the weekend and talk about some of the laws that may be a little bit misunderstood or completely unknown with some of them. There was a big one from France and Ireland on Thursday night that set social media on fire. We're definitely going to be talking about that. So make sure you look out for our ref review. And as always, it's to support the game. It's to support the referees. It's to support the knowledge of the laws and the understanding across everybody. It's not an opportunity to bag referees. The referees do a fantastic job in typically very difficult circumstances. So yeah, we're looking to build that all the time. So if you want to help me do that, absolutely do that. You know, follow along with all the things I'm doing. The Rugger Law Ball series that's out on the little shorts, on the reels on Instagram and TikTok, and they're everywhere, and they've gone really well. So keep following those, keep writing nice comments in there, and we'll get to it. You know, the game will be better, hopefully, as a result. Let me know more about what you think in the comments down below. Yeah, tough day for Wales, and I take little joy from it. Really, I genuinely do. Like, I want it to be a good contest, and it was better in the second half, but the game was gone by then. Sadly, for England, I think they'll be happy, but I think they'll also look at it and go, "We can be better there. We can be better there. We can be better there." And I've outlined all those throughout this chat. So there's, I guess, for England as well, you don't really want to be playing your best rugby in the first game of in the tournament either. Like, you want to build and go through the tournament and get layers on top of it. So they'll be okay. I think they'll be satisfied. It'll be okay. Okay. We'll bring this to a close now. But before I go, just down there in the description is the lovely link to the Six Nations store. And I typically don't particularly like England's kit too much historically, but I quite like this one. So go, if you're an England fan, go get yourself some England kit. Look great. There's a code there as well for 20% off. That's only valid for a short time. So go and get 20% off as well. While you're down there, give this video a thumbs up if you don't mind. And yeah, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.